The 1990 FIA Formula One World Championship was the 41st Formula One World Championship for drivers and the 33rd Formula One World Championship for constructors, which were contested concurrently over a 16-race series that commenced on the 11th of March and ended on the 4th of November. Ayrton Senna won the Drivers' Championship for the second time, and McLaren-Honda won their third consecutive Constructors' Championship. The championship featured a dramatic battle between Senna and former teammate Alain Prost, who had made the switch to Ferrari. Prost mounted Ferrari's first title challenge for several years, and led the championship after 3 consecutive mid-season wins. Senna fought back strongly and went into the penultimate round at the Suzuka circuit in Japan with a 9-point lead over Prost. There, Senna took pole position only for Prost to beat him off the line. The Brazilian driver then drove into the Frenchman at the first corner, putting both out and thus settling the championship in Senna's favor. This was the second year in succession that the two drivers had collided at Suzuka. Senna admitted the following year that the collision was deliberate, as he was furious that Prost had been able to start on the clean side of the grid and had decided that he was not going to allow the Frenchman to make the corner should he lose the start. In this season, teams Ryle and Zakspeed left Formula One after the 1989 season. March's main sponsor Leighton House completed their takeover of the team and officially registered as a new constructor. Life entered the sport, trying to market their unconventional W12 engine. Lotus took on Lamborghini as their engine supplier, while Coloni struck a deal with Subaru and sold 51% of its shares to the Japanese car manufacturer. During the season, faced with disappointing results, highly regarded designer Adrian Newey was fired from the Leighton House team. The Subaru Flat 12 engine supplied to Coloni was not producing more than 500 brake horsepower, and the chassis was overweight by some 300 pounds. Good results stayed away and Subaru withdrew their ownership. By the German Grand Prix, Coloni had arranged a supply of Ford Cosworth engines. The Life W12 engine was equally unsuccessful and the team switched to a Judd V8 engine before the Portuguese Grand Prix. Onyx folded after 10 races, and Eurobrun and Life after 14 of the 16 races. About drivers' changes in this season: 9 drivers had left the grid, compared to the last race of the 1989 season. Amongst them were Eddie Cheever, embarking on a successful career in IndyCar racing, and René Arnoux, who retired. Alain Prost moved to Ferrari as a result of his stressful rivalry with his teammate Ayrton Senna and an overall unhappy year at McLaren, despite winning the 1989 championship. Gerhard Berger moved to McLaren to complete the switch. Triple world champion Nelson Piquet moved away from Lotus, having endured 2 disappointing seasons and getting the news of the new Lamborghini supply contract. Piquet's contract turned out to be incentive-based. He would be paid $100,000 for every point scored, though he was also paid a season retainer. The other Lotus driver, Satoru Nakajima, moved to Tyrrell over the winter, replacing Jonathan Palmer, who was signed as McLaren's test driver. Lotus attracted Derek Warwick from Arrows and promoted their test driver Martin Donnelly. 3 drivers made their debuts at the start of the season: Paolo Barria at Minardi, Claudio Langers at Eurobrun and Gary Brabham at Life. Gianni Morbidelli became the 4th when he was needed as a stand-in. Due to a pre-season cycling accident, Alex Caffey was forced to sit out the opening race, with Bernd Schneider filling the gap. Gary Brabham quit the Life team when seeing that no improvement in form was to be expected, and Bruno Giacomelli took his place, having last raced in F1 in 1983. Gary's brother David Brabham signed with Brabham, the team owned by their father and triple world champion Jack Brabham. However, he requested to skip the first 2 races to prepare himself. Gregor Wojtek stood in for him. Then, without missing a race, Wojtek moved over to Onyx, after driver Stefan Johansson had fallen out with new team owner Peter Monteverdi. Gianni Morbidelli stood in for Emanuele Pirro at Scuderia Italia for the first 2 races of the season. He also replaced Paolo Barria at Minardi for the final 2 races, and stayed with the team until the end of 1992. Lotus's test driver Johnny Herbert stepped up to the racing seat after Donnelly suffered a dramatic career-ending crash in the Spanish Grand Prix. When Eurobrun folded, Roberto Moreno found a new home in Benetton, after their driver Alessandro Nannini was involved in a helicopter crash. Marino drove 2 races in 1990 and stayed with the team over the next year.
Fuel your passion for Formula One legends. Unique vintage racing t-shirts made for real fans. Only at Speed Formula One channel, store. Start your engines.
Don't miss the complete 1990 F1 season video report next week.